Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. Y'all already know I'm so happy to see you. Seven Heaven, we're on cloud 7 over here. And comment, like, subscribe, tell a friend, all that good stuff. And today we're stepping a little bit out of the normal realm. Y'all know this is primarily a tarot channel, but anytime I get called to channel in a specific way, I like to listen. So we're gonna go over some of the astrological aspects in the Luigi Mangione case. Now, this is not the astrological deep dive. I just wanted to point out to y'all the ways that the charts signify both murder and deception thereof. Okay, y'all? So let's get started. We have Luigi Mangione, born on May 6th, 1998 in Ellicott City, Maryland. Now, I just have to tell y'all, this is sidereal astrology. So before anybody yells at me and says, that's a Taurus, in sidereal astrology, that is an Aries. So this is Indian astrology. This is Vedic. This is done with the Lahiri system, not tropical. They start at different degree placements, but that's just so y'all know. This is the this is not drugstore cosmopolitan. This is the real deal, okay? Not to discredit tropical, but he's got his sun in Aries at 21 degrees 55 minutes, almost 22 degrees, and we're gonna talk about, y'all, 22 degrees is the kill or be killed degree. So it's all over this chart. It's all over the chart, the synastry chart between the two men, Brian Thompson and Luigi Mangione, and it's all over the chart of the day, time, place of the murder. But Luigi, he has his natal moon, and if I'm looking over here, y'all, it's just because my notes, but he has his natal moon in Leo at 22 degrees. Now, the moon sign is a signification of the mother. So when we think of a Leo moon, at that critical degree especially, we're suggesting a mother obsessed with her child's beauty, star potential, talent, the kind that would act up at a parent and teacher meeting if she feels like her child's genius isn't being acknowledged enough. Someone kind of thirsty for table manners and grooming and excellent portraits done, even oil paintings done, even when he was a baby, type of just pride in the child, which you can imagine creates a lot of pressure. And we know what kind of family that he came from too, quite well-to-do. So I think that fits with that as well. But his natal Mars is also at Aries at the 22nd degree. And you know, Mars, it's signifying somebody who is, I mean, yes, warrior-like, but it's also, there's an aspect not just of aggression, but frustration in terms of the masculinity that can't always express itself in the right way. Also a Lilith and Mercury. Mercury being the commerce, technology at 22 degrees. So that sign of, yes, being an innovator, but also a taboo where possibly violent things are concerned. When we look at Brian Thompson, we have Sun at 24 degrees of Gemini, so another innovator. I mean, he got his position as the CEO because he was able to get more money out of those poor sick folks and more money for the corporation. That's why you put someone in the position that he was in. So he also has Venus and Taurus at 23 degrees. This man loved luxury. I feel like a Venus and Taurus aspect is those that, it's not necessarily people who are ungrateful, at least in the ones that I've known, but it's like they can never have enough security. Like they can never have too many nice things. They could have a savings double of yours, but they're still cautious. They can never have too much in a way of that comfort, that security blanket, and those nice things. So it definitely puts a clear perspective into the kind of super wealthy man that he might have been. But he also has North Node retrograding in Scorpio at 24 degrees. And the North Node is like your fate going forward. It's the karmic point that you're moving toward in this life. And his being in Scorpio, it's interesting because even though if you're a big healthcare fan and you knew all about finance, to the world, he's now forever known as murder victim Brian Thompson. And of course, Scorpio, the sign of death. So it's quite interesting that he was moving towards that sidereally and that became what his notoriety was. And right beside that in the house of Scorpio, Brian Thompson has 13 degree Neptune in Scorpio. So that's the deception planet. And that's another thing that we'll get into, because in the house of death, he has the deception planet in retrograde. And now, thinking of Luigi Mangione, he has a 13-degree Pluto retrograding in Scorpio. So it's like the sign of death and destruction and transformation in the house of death and destruction and transformation at that 13th degree, which is an Aries degree with his Aries sun. So when we think about the synastry chart between the two, Brian Thompson and Luigi Mangione both have Neptune, you know, the glamour magic, the deception planet, the dreamy planet, and each other's 11th house of notoriety. Now, these are approximate because we don't have the birth times, of course, but when we think about the 11th house, that's how somebody, that's fame, that's friends, that's fortune, that's everything that someone would be known for. And the fact that they both have the planet of deception in each other's house of fame and notoriety, it speaks to some kind of scam, because it's double deception. It's double deception, y'all. Now, the chart of the incident itself, this happened on December 4th, 2024 at 6:44 a.m., allegedly. That's whenever the killing took place. And even the footage looks a little crazy, to be honest. But the chart of the incident itself, and of course it's Midtown Manhattan for the place, for any of y'all that want to look it up. And again, I use Sidereal. But we have Mercury, the business, commerce, and communication planet, retrograding in the chart's first house that's ruled by Scorpio. Now, first house is the self, it's the leader, the ego part of the chart, and that's ruled by Scorpio, the sign of death. So it's like the whole intention, the whole everything of the chart points to death. And the sun is also in this first house of Scorpio as well, the ego. So it's ego death. You know, it's quite literally that ego death of one man losing his life or starting a new one, and another man losing his freedom. The second house, Capricorn. So Capricorn is kind of the workhorse. They're the money, they're earth, tradition, security. So we have Venus in that Capricorn, and Capricorn is Saturn ruled. We also have Pluto in the second house of the chart. So we have the death planet, again, in kind of the, not just money, but the workhorse sign. Because we have a few different, we have Venus that's ruling kind of beautiful things and the beauty part of bounty. Then we have Jupiter ruling abundance. But whenever we think of Venus, or whenever we think of the sign Capricorn, rather, that is like the earner of the money, basically. So how funny that the death planet is in the sign of the money earner, right next to Venus too. So that's that feminine influence. And his Venus was in Taurus again. So there's that emphasis on like the keeper and the earner of the nice things is being heavily influenced by that death energy. And then third house, Saturn in Aquarius, which is, I don't know, Aquarius is like the friend to all. And so we have to think about, okay, Saturnian, Saturn's the boundary. So it's like you're no more are you a friend to everybody. And it's you won't learn today. The third house of early education, you no longer see the world in such an innocent way. That's instantly learning about these more mature things. Also, it's the house of siblings. And I think after this, for whatever involvement his brother had, he wasn't able to trust him in the same way. It goes from that, like, oh, I have a certain idea of my siblings, to overnight, like, oh, I know they're also in on it. Going off of some of the things we've talked about before, of like his family and their involvement with certain things and with high crime and all of that, it's quite interesting because there's like a resistance from him of I don't want to do it. And then there's this force, all the Mars energy talked about in his chart too. There's like this force. So it's like he's learning about all this stuff for the first time. He's learning about this more, I don't know, he's learning about this more dark side of everything for the first time. So it's like his early education and more Saturnian mature things, like ending someone's life, like this sort of corruption and all that stuff that he likely distanced himself from before. The fourth house of home and family is holding that planet of deception, which is Neptune, and the wounded warrior aspect, which is Chiron, as well as the north node of the chart. So that shows that while Scorpio is the kind of head of the chart being in the first house, the north node of the point all comes down to family. And the seventh house, that's Jupiter retrograding at that kill or be killed 22nd degree. Yeah, seventh house is holding Jupiter at the 22nd degree in Taurus. So we have the Venus ruled house holding all the nice things, but the abundance planet is moving backwards. And it's like where one meets another, it's either you or me type of thing. So it shows a lot of desperation. Like this wasn't even beyond what some people say about a vigilante. It shows that idea of literally kill or be killed. Like I need to do this or I can't survive anymore. So definitely just signs that Luigi was talked into something by his family or forced, quite literally forced by his family to pay off a debt for the Pelosi's or whatever. So in the eighth house of the chart, we have, eighth house is the house of death and debt. They call it sex, death, and other people's money. And that is ruled by the mother and family sign of Cancer, with Mars in the same house. So you have Mars in the family planet. It's another thing that alludes to like there's a murder, but it's for the sake of the family. And debt. That's another interesting thing too, is that it's to pay a debt because you have a murder. Like when we think of Mars, that's going to be the murder planet because it's quick. It's not like the Sag, like the kind of that longevity of energy. It's not Leo. It's just the quick Martian Aries, like it happens in the blink of an eye. He's alive and he's dead. So when we have Mars in that eighth house of Cancer, it's quite literally to pay a family debt. This murder took place. Going on to the 11th house, we have a part of fortune. And that is like the fame and the fated aspect. So it's created by multiple planets, and it's the point that they all make. It's not a planet itself, but if you take the calculations of multiple planets, and then that's where you have your part of fortune kind of in the crosshairs. So the part of fortune in this house is in the 11th house of fame and notoriety. And this is, nobody can stop talking about this thing, even me. But it's fame and notoriety. So it's a chart that speaks of a famous murder. But there's still that deception involved. There's still that in the fourth house, the planet of deception is in the home and family. So there's some kind of deceit that's there. And Luigi's part of fortune, I believe, is in Virgo at the 22nd kill or be killed degree. And how funny that even like in his life, he could probably do anything. He could probably cure cancer at this point, but he's still going to be known as murder suspect Luigi Mangione. So I find that very interesting that even in his birth chart, the notoriety aspect is at kill or be killed. And he's known for this thing that he was either kind of pushed to do to pay off a family debt, or literally threatened his life to do it, or falsely accused of. Now, there's a lot of conflict between Luigi and Brian, of course. There's a lot of conflict between the two. Brian Thompson's natal sun and Cancer is in a square, which is a conflicting aspect to Luigi Mangione's 22-degree sun. And Brian Thompson's natal Venus in Taurus forms a square from Luigi Mangione's 22-degree moon. So you have the 22-degree moon in a direct square from Brian Thompson's natal Venus. So there's that tension there. And again, it's the aspect that's with the mother. So there's some idea that the mom was the final aspect of like when even she didn't oppose this thing being done, then that's whenever he had to do it. Brian Thompson has a sun in Gemini square to Luigi Mangione's Mercury in Pisces. His Pluto in Virgo is an exact opposition to Luigi Mangione's Venus in Pisces. So this creates an aspect of a short, intense burst. And if they ever cross paths, it was probably through this one time, through this. His Brian Thompson's Uranus. No one laughed. I know people say Uranus. Fool. But his Uranus in Libra is opposing Luigi Mangione's Saturn in Aries, which I find super interesting that his Uranus is in Libra because that's like quick justice. You know, like Uranus is the planet of just overnight, something comes in quick, technological change. And then you put that in the house of justice. So it's like quick justice. Opposing Luigi Mangione, Saturn in Aries, which we talked about before, and it's in the chart, but that Saturnian, almost like when he was young, he took things too seriously. He couldn't fully ever relax. And that Saturn in Aries is just like it mimics an aspect, but in a same way, because you have the quick energy of Aries with that Saturn, and it's like, you almost learn instantly. I mean, think about it. His life overnight went from being significantly less complicated to very complex, very grown up. So it's that idea of you have to do all the growing up of Saturn overnight. And he'll be in his Saturn return sooner than later. Sorry, I'm gonna let Kitty in. Hi, Kitty. Hi. So 22 degrees, y'all. It's riddled with 22 degrees. We have the deception, the double deception, and each other's fame houses. So something is not right here. And that's what I wanted to drive home to y'all in this quick astrology video. I hope it made sense, y'all. You can ask me any question in the comments. I'm sure there's a lot of astrology deep dives in this, but I just wanted to give you guys a quick breakdown just to let y'all know. The kill or be killed degree is there, and it's not just the killer degree, it's the kill or be killed. So there's that threat and panic, as well as the double deception of the 11th houses. And I think that's it, y'all. I'm gonna do more tarot on this. Again, we're not always gonna see astrology over here, y'all, but I wanted to do this breakdown because the stars didn't lie and I felt called to do it. Please comment, like, subscribe, share, tell a friend. I'm gonna see y'all on here every day for psychic readings. I love y'all so much. Stay on 7 heaven, stay on the cloud 7, y'all, and I'll see y'all in the next one.